All right, UFC Fight Night Moicano vs Saint-Denis takes place this Saturday in Paris, France. I want to give a full card breakdown, a pick and a preview for every single fight on this card. We're going to start with the first fight of the night and work our way up as usual, so let us get to that right away with the first fight of the night, which is Bolaji Oki versus Chris Duncan. I will be going as Chris Duncan as an underdog here. I think he's going to be able to grind out a decision. I think he makes it ugly, turns it into a bit of a dog fight. He's very durable, so I don't see Oki being able to knock him out, even though he did have quite a few knockouts before coming to the UFC. In his UFC debut, he took a guy that has no wins in the UFC yet to a split decision, which I understand Chris Duncan does that quite frequently as well, okay? But I think he's fought much better competition. Like I said, I think he's going to be able to make it ugly, make it a dogfight, wear on Oki, and do enough damage to win the rounds to win a decision. Moving up the card, to Nora CORNOLLE versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm going to be going with Nora CORNOLLE here. There's a few reasons, one of which being the odds. Okay, I do not like picking unranked women who are massive favorites. Now, I will contradict that statement a little bit later, but I think that in terms of finishing ability, I think Nora CORNOLLE actually has better finishing ability. I think she's a strong girl. She's good on the ground. She's decent on the feet. I think she, much like Chris Duncan, will make it a little bit uglier. Cavalcanti, I think, likes to, be a little bit more in control, make things a little bit prettier and things like that, but I don't think she's going to be able to do that. She might, but like I said, I don't really feel comfortable picking her as the favorite that she is, and I think that they've fought similar level of competition up until this point with very similar records, rather, so I'm not quite sure why she is as big of a favorite as she is. So I'm going with Nora CORNOLLE. I could see maybe a submission victory, but who knows. Moving up the card, to Daniel BAREZ versus Victor Altamirano. I had a tough time picking Victor Altamirano, but I am picking Victor Altamirano, okay? It seems like Victor Altamirano has an inability to, make adjustments on the fly. So if something's not working, he doesn't really know how to solve that, or at the very least, it comes off that way in fights. Tim Elliott was able to take him down almost at will. Victor Altamirano showed basically no ability to get back to the feet, and when they were on the feet, he didn't show any adjustments that would make him not get taken down, and it was kind of frustrating to watch, if I'm being honest. Now, with that being said, I don't think Daniel BAREZ is on the level of a Tim Elliott. While he, has some decent wrestling and can take guys down and stuff like that, I don't think his timing is as good. I don't think he's as crafty. I don't think he's going to be as difficult to deal with, and he's obviously not fought even remotely close to the same level of competition as Tim Elliott or even Victor Altamirano for that matter. So I'm going to go with Altamirano. I think he's going to be better on the feet. I just hope that he's worked on his takedown defense a little bit, and if he does get taken down, worked on his ability to get back to his feet. Moving up the card, to PEREZ versus Daria ZHELEZNYAKOVA, I think. I'm going to be going with Daria ZHELEZNYAKOVA, even though she is a sizable favorite, okay? But I just don't think PEREZ is very good. I don't think she's very good at all. And I'm kind of irritated by the infatuation that people have with her. I understand, but this is the face of, she's very creepy looking. Just going to throw that out there, but either way, dude. So, like I said, I'll be going with her. Can't give you a whole lot of reasons. I just don't think that highly of PEREZ. Moving up the card, to Taylor Lapilus versus Vince Morales. I'm going with Taylor Lapilus. I could see it being a decision. I wish his finishing ability was a little bit higher in his UFC career at the very least, because he did have quite a few finishes before coming to the UFC, but once he's gotten here, it seems like he goes to decision quite a bit. But, with that being said, he's very, very slick on the feet. He's skilled on the ground as well, has quite a few submissions, like I said, outside the UFC, but still, he's never been submitted. So I don't think it's as simple as, you take him down and that's it, right? Because oftentimes guys are going to be looking to take a guy like Lapilus down. He's very, very good on the feet, very tricky to deal with, very good at utilizing range. Whereas you'll see some guys with a few inches in a reach advantage, and it doesn't look like it once they start fighting, because they don't really know how to utilize it. He's got long legs, and he's good at fighting long. I think he's going to do that here, and I think he's going to, kind of just pick Vince Morales apart. Like I said, I would love to see a finish. I just don't know that it'll happen. I could see it going to a decision. So, moving up the card, to Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. I hate when people ask me to give a lock of the card. It drives me absolutely nuts because it's a fight, and I feel like anything, hit my desk, dude, anything can happen. It's a fight, and, we see upsets happen all the time. That being said, dude, I think Ludovic Klein might be the closest thing to a lock imaginable, if I'm being honest, dude. Roosevelt Roberts, I don't even know how he's back in the UFC. This guy had a UFC career that did not go his way. He got released from the UFC. He came back in the Ultimate Fighter and lost there as well. So I don't know if this is just like a participation trophy or what it is, but he is back. And I think he loses again, right? I feel like he's being fed to the wolves a little bit here. I know he lost to, I think it was Mateusz Rebecki as well, but his last time, maybe it wasn't Rebecki, it was somebody else who was pretty good though. But I feel like he's being fed to the wolves a little bit here. I don't hate it. I think he probably gets knocked out or something along those lines. I think Ludovic Klein is very good, and these odds, in my opinion, are totally justified, though I don't know that I would feel comfortable betting them, even though I said I think he's a lock. So Ludovic Klein by knockout. Moving up the card too, Omar Sy, I think, versus Da Woon Jung. I'm going with Omar Sy, the newcomer. Okay, 6'4", 83-inch reach. That's crazy. Plus 7-inch ape index. That's a very, very large reach. Da Woon Jung has lost 3 straight. 2 pretty good guys, but finished in 2 out of those 3. We saw him get finished by Dustin Jacoby, if I remember correctly, who is not a heavy hitter, right? And he got knocked out, which is not a good look. Dustin Jacoby is kind of pillow-fisted a little bit. He likes to just touch. And we don't see him really hurting guys all that often, but we did see him hurt Da Woon Jung. He's also kind of a smaller light heavyweight, right? But while he's a very good striker, he doesn't hit the hardest. So it's crazy to see him actually put a guy away like that. I think Da Woon Jung's taken a lot of damage. Nothing he does really stands out to me as like excellent or anything like that, whereas I just have a feeling this guy's going to be able to get it done. I think he's going to be able to use that reach advantage, pretty sizable reach advantage. He's got very long legs and all the rest of it. Very big dude. 10-0, lots of finishes, a variety of finishes to boot. He can sub dudes, he can knock you out. So I think he gets the job done against Da Woon Jung. Moving up the card too, Ion Cutelaba versus Ivan Erslan. I'm going with Ivan Erslan here, dude. Not in any which way, shape, or form because I think that Ivan Erslan is some like fantastic fighter or anything like that. I don't really know. The level of competition that he's faced up until now has not been amazing. But I think Ion Cutelaba has some of the worst fight IQ I've ever seen imaginable. He's like a light heavyweight Michael Chandler, but worse, okay? And he needs to win this fight badly, and even if he does, I don't know that that's going to save his UFC career. His most recent win was like, a while ago against Tanner Boser, who completely shit the bed in his UFC opportunity. Unfortunately, man, there's no way I could pick Ion Cutelaba at this point. I have no faith in him whatsoever. He seems to beat himself more often than not. He just makes horrible decisions in the fight and continues to do so. I get he can hit hard, and yes, he could, end up knocking out Ivan Erslan or something along those lines, but I don't feel confident picking him to do so. Moving up the card too, BAREZ ZIAM versus Matt Frevola. I'm going with Matt Frevola here. I feel like a lot of people are kind of concerned about Matt Frevola based on the last performance. Obviously, he got head kicked in the first round by Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't think BAREZ ZIAM is going to do something like that. He's a very good striker, but I feel like Benoit Saint-Denis has a level of chaoticness to him that allows things like that to happen in the very first round, in the very opening of a round. I don't think ZIAM's going to do that. I think he's going to try and use his range and be a little bit more controlled in his approach. I think that Matt Frevola, underrated, very good KO power, very good grappling ability, can take you down. He's also aggressive. We've seen him. I mean, this guy stood toe-to-toe with Drew Dober and knocked him out, right? Now, he's got some questionable losses on his record. I don't like seeing a loss, especially by finish, to Terrence McKinney. That guy has, that's not aged very well, right? But before that loss to Benoit Saint-Denis, he was on a 3-fight finish streak. He's gone to decisions with guys like Arman Tsarukyan. So I think Matt Frevola is pretty damn good. And I think he's going to be able to find a submission here. I think he's going to use power shots to try and get on the inside and then, use that to grab a hold of BAREZ ZIAM, drag him down, and try to submit him. And I think that he's able to do so. Moving up the card, too, Morgan Charrier versus Gabriel Miranda. The odds on this one are a little bit wild, if I'm being honest, dude. Morgan Charrier is getting, pushed as this, dude, you would think, by the way guys talk about this dude, he's some, undefeated prospect, young prospect. But as you can see here, he has a lot of losses on his record. He's got a lot of fights as well. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean much, right? Diego Lopez, much the same. and then was just able to turn his career around, and all of a sudden he could be fighting for a title sometime soon. And Morgan Charrier is very good on the feet, fun to watch fight, and all the rest of it, but they've got him at a what, minus 675. Gabriel Miranda is, he's lost a few times in the UFC, but he's also got a lot of finishes. This guy submits a ton of people, and while I do think Charrier should be able to get this one done, I think he should be able to utilize his striking. The takedown threat and the submission threat of Gabriel Miranda could affect Charrier's striking to the point where maybe we don't see him be as aggressive as he normally would be. Maybe he's afraid to use his kicks and things like that. And, while I think Charrier should get the job done, I would not be surprised at fucking all if Gabriel Miranda was somehow able to choke him out. I wouldn't be that shocked if that was the case. But I'm not so confident that I'm going to pick that way. So I'm going to stick with Charrier. I think he's able to pick him apart at range, win a decision, if not get a late finish, which would be nice to see. Moving up the card too, Kevin JOUSSET, or JOUSSET, I don't know, dude, versus Bryan Battle. I'm going to be going with Bryan Battle here. This is a very close fight for me. I think this is kind of like a pick'em fight. I just think Bryan Battle's fought the much better competition. He's good everywhere. He's kind of like came into his own. He's looked fantastic, especially since that loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov. But even before that, dude, you got to go back like 5 years to find a loss before that one. And even in that Rinat Fakhretdinov fight, that came at a time when Rinat was kind of running through people. He hadn't really been exposed yet by Eliza Zaleski dos Santos. And Bryan Battle made it tough for him all the way to decision. Rinat looked a little bit tired. Bryan Battle had some moments in that fight. Just kind of got taken down over and over again. And, that's fine. But he's had very impressive performances recently. He was on his way to winning his last fight against Angalusa, I think, where the eye poke happened. And I would have been frustrated if I was him as well, even though he was the one that committed the foul. But he's just looked really fucking good lately. And he's fought much better competition. JOUSSET, has looked pretty good as well, but against not as good of competition, in my opinion. While they have very similar records, I think that the level of experience that Bryan Battle has is a much higher quality than the level of a Kevin JOUSSET. So, going with Bryan Battle, hoping for a finish. Moving up the card, too. William Gomis versus Joanderson Brito. I'm going with Joanderson Brito here. I think this guy's very good. Very underrated. 4-fight finish streak. Seems to be just unbelievably durable, right? Like the last finish he had was a doctor stoppage because the guy's shin got split open. I'm assuming, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think he checked a kick. It just shows that he's a very hard individual, okay, very dense, and he's fun to watch fight too. Very aggressive, can finish you pretty much anywhere. Beat Diego Lopez. I know that was an iffy one, right? It was a technical decision or something. There was an eye poke, so we had to go to the judges' scorecards, but he was up on the scorecards. Got himself the victory. So, and that has aged very, very well. I've picked him almost every single time he's fought to win, and he's never done me wrong, so I'm going to stick with that. Now, William Gomis is very good at range. He's got very slick kicks and things like that, and, he could end up putting on a good performance here, putting on a striking clinic, but I just think that Joanderson Brito makes it ugly, hurts William Gomis, and finishes him off, okay? William Gomis has finished a few people, but I don't know, man. Brito seems to be just an absolute fucking savage. I think he's a little bit underrated. Moving up the card, too. Nassourdine Imavov versus Brendan Allen. I'm going to go with Nassourdine Imavov here. I think that Brendan Allen's lack of striking is going to be the deciding factor. I think that Nassourdine Imavov is at the very least close enough in skill in the grappling department. I think he might even be on par with Brendan Allen to not just get taken down, mounted, back taken, submitted, whatever, mauled in any which way, shape, or form. He's very good in the clinch. He's good at trips. He's good at scrambles. He's good at, getting the overhook. I don't know, man. Brendan Allen, I know MMA math does not work. Brendan Allen had that very close fight with Chris Curtis, which I actually thought Chris Curtis could have gotten the nod. And then we see Nassourdine Imavov in his fight, absolutely school Chris Curtis. He just schooled him. Do you know what I mean? And his performance against Jared Cannonier, while that stoppage was absolute horseshit, Imavov was doing very well in that fight as well. It was a very competitive fight, but he was winning rounds and, could have potentially gone on to win a decision anyways. I didn't like the stoppage, but still. I just don't think Brendan Allen's going to be able to take him down. And Brendan Allen striking to me is not good at all. And so if they're stuck on the feet together, I think Nasruddin Imavov just kind of picks him apart and just schools him on the feet. Because I think he's much, much, much better striker, technique-wise and all the rest of it. So I'm going to Nasruddin Imavov. Hopefully we don't see a decision, as we so often do, at the top of middleweight. But, you know, either way. Moving up the card to the main event, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm going with Benoit Saint-Denis here. For me, this is a toss-up fight. Honestly, if I was putting percentages to this fight, I would say like 52% Benoit Saint-Denis, 48% Renato Moicano. I could see Saint-Denis, you know, kind of just being very aggressive, hurting Moicano on the feet and not fumbling in the way that Jalen Turner did. Moicano does tend to get hurt. He gets hurt actually a lot. You know, he's been finished even a few times by strikes either way. But I could also see Moicano toughen it, like just, you know, toughen his way through that, getting hurt, and then managing to somehow get on Benoit Saint-Denis' back and strangle him. Now, I feel like there's a few things being blown out of proportion here. I feel like Benoit Saint-Denis' loss to Dustin Poirier is getting blown out of proportion. People are using that. They will, at the same time, say that he lost because of staph infection while also saying he clearly has a gas tank issue. I don't think that if he didn't have staph and was not taking antibiotics that he would have gassed the way that he did. That being said, I don't know that he would have beat Dustin Poirier either way. I think that Benoit Saint-Denis is a very chaotic individual when he fights, and when you've got a guy like Dustin Poirier who's got a beautiful counter right hook, like beautiful boxing, you're kind of, you know, in danger of that always, even if you are at the top of your, like if your health is perfect. So I don't know that he would have won that fight, but I don't think he's got gas tank issues. I think that if we're going to make complaints or make an excuse for something to do with staph infection, it would be the cardio. We've seen him go 3 rounds in his debut with Elisa Zaleski dos Santos. That was up a weight class. That was a while ago as well. Elisa Zaleski dos Santos was a lot younger then, and in my opinion, he's very, very good anyways. So I don't know, man. I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis has some gas tank issue. Also, Renato Moicano, I don't think is gonna, like, this guy's not got knockout power, right? He's got a nice jab. He's got decent leg kicks, but he's got no pop on his shots. I don't see him hurting Benoit Saint-Denis in the same way that a Dustin Poirier would, staph or no staph. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is in trouble of getting chinned here. I don't think that getting knocked out by Dustin Poirier is a testament to some chin issue. It's Dustin fucking Poirier. He's one of the hardest hitters at 155, period, right? And so that's that. But I just think that he's got the striking edge a bit, and I think that he's strong enough and good enough at grappling that while I think Renato Moicano submission-wise is a better grappler overall, right? Like I would, if Renato Moicano had your back, I would be much more concerned than if Benoit Saint-Denis did. I would be concerned if both of them did, but I feel like Renato Moicano, that's almost like a fucking wrap. If he's got your back, you're getting choked or something. Do you know what I mean? I just think that Benoit Saint-Denis, kind of like the previous fight in the co-main event, I think his grappling is good enough, at the very least, to not just get put in those positions unless he was to gas. If I end up being wrong and in round 4, Benoit Saint-Denis can't fucking breathe and the fight's not over yet and he's huffing and puffing and not able to move, then sure, I could see Renato Moicano getting on that back and strangling him. But until then, I think Moicano is going to take a lot of damage. He does get hurt a lot, and I think that it's going to benefit Benoit Saint-Denis. And I don't think he's going to fumble the way that a Jalen Turner would. Now, I am curious to see if Saint-Denis uses his grappling as much as he has in previous fights, knowing that Renato Moicano is such a good grappler, because what I'm reminded of is in his fight with Thiago Moises, I was a little, you know, curious as well, I guess. Concerned is not the right word, but just I was interested to see whether or not he would utilize grappling against a guy like Thiago Moises, who is a phenomenal Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And he did. And I was kind of surprised. But he did it in a way that I think is what he would do in this fight as well, where he didn't really want to go to the mat and get into a grappling contest with him. He was kind of like dragging him down against the fence and beating the shit out of him type beat. You know what I mean? So I could see him doing something similar to that with Renato Moicano. And I just think that in terms of being able to damage your opponent, I give Saint-Denis a massive edge in that regard. So I'm going to pick him. Like I said, 52-48, maybe even 51-49 fight for me. I don't know that the odds here are minus 285 is a little wild to me, especially since Moicano has shown to be such a durable individual and has a very good ability to bounce back. Not to mention, dude, this is something that could come into effect here. Renato Moicano has fought way better competition. It's not even fucking close, right? And the first time that Benoit Saint-Denis gets a very big step up in competition, he gets his lights put out. Right. The only thing is that Moicano, while fighting these better guys, hasn't usually won. Right. Like Jose Aldo finished him. Rafael Fiziev finished him. Jalen Turner is very inconsistent, not super high level. But when you see him fight higher level guys, he doesn't tend to make it out the other side. So, you know, I'm going with BSD. I think he should be able to finish Moicano. I could see a TKO incoming, second round or something along those lines. Now that is it, dude. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.